Josh, we're back for another episode.
Stop yelling, please.
Sorry. We're back. Welcome back to another episode of DriveCast. I'm Dom.
I'm Josh.
And this is our second episode here of the finally the season on video.
Is this season 3?
Season 3, yeah, that's what I forgot. I forgot what season number we were on.
You were struggling, but you were like prancing around it.
Right.
So I was like, I think he forgot what season we're on, and he's trying to make it seem like he didn't.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Just say you don't know.
I have no idea what season we're on.
Season 3.
Season 3.
All right, let's go.
We're back for another episode. Thanks for staying tuned in. We wanted to start this episode by clarifying a few things from the previous episode.
Pretty much Dom fact-checked everything I said, and here's what I said wrong.
No, not quite. It's not quite that much.
Really?
I fact-checked a few of the things that I said.
Oh, I didn't fact-check anything. So go ahead. What did you say wrong?
So, well, this isn't a fact check. This is just an opinion check.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Well, in the previous episode, when we were talking about the, four-door sport coupes.
Yeah.
Sport sedans, you know.
The Mercedes and the BMW and the Lexus and...
The Audi. No, it was the Audi.
The Audi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the Audi, the BMW M6 Grand Coupe. I said that the Audi RS7 Sportback was my second favorite Audi after the new RS6 Avant, which is untrue. It's not even close to my second.
Yeah, I was about to say that car is like the pinnacle of Audi.
Which one is?
The RS6. The S6 was it S6? I
The
can't remember.
RS6 Avant.
I can't say it. I can
Yeah.
never. I can't. The RS6 Avant.
Yes.
That car is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's probably my favorite car in Audi's lineup, right under the R8. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't even have a timestamp on here to be able to edit this out.
Don't worry about
it. All right, whatever. You're gonna hear some fucking buzzing from my phone, I guess. Already dropped another F-bomb.
We've been here 5 minutes, buddy. 5 minutes.
This one is off to a rough start.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. Continue.
Okay, so we're gonna continue instead of starting over. So yeah, I said the RS7 Sportback was my second favorite Audi. It's not even close. It's got to move down the list.
What is your second favorite Audi, Dom?
My second favorite Audi?
Yes.
Is the Quattro.
Really?
Yes. Third is the RS2 Avant.
They're so forgotten because they're so old.
The Quattros?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're iconic. They're absolutely iconic. You know, especially...
They are 40 years old this year.
Yeah. Wow, really?
1980s.
Oh, my God, we're so old.
This
is painful.
80, 90, 90, 2000, 2010, 2020.
Oh,
21.
God.
That's 41 years. Well, I forget what year they came out, but
it was mid-80s.
Mid-80s.
So
yeah,
they're close.
They're almost 40 years old. They're getting right on the end of it.
Oh, I feel so old after you said that.
Yeah. Dude, these 80 cars are getting old quick.
Oh, it's
they're depreciating. They're just disintegrating. Well, they're not depreciating, but they're just disintegrating. Like
right.
I know so many.
Right.
Dude, I know so many 80s cars that are just totally gone to shit.
They're
People are throwing them out.
Just rotting away. So yeah, the RS7 Sportback is not my second favorite Audi. Also, fact check. I said that the Dodge Viper had outsold the Jeep Patriot, which is true. But the reason is the Jeep Patriot had been discontinued. So
I was gonna say, I think the Patriot doesn't. All right, I didn't fact check you, but I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure the Jeep Patriot is no longer a vehicle.
No,
I'm pretty sure that they got rid of it and they replaced it with nothing.
There's a whole lot of brand like.
Did they replace it? I think the Cherokee is the only one left.
Well, they have the Renegade. You know,
the Renegade, the Cherokee. That's what I mean.
Well, they have the Compass.
That's what it is, the Compass. Okay.
Yeah, but it was discontinued
They're
because
all
there was a
terrible.
whole bunch of model confusion, you know, because the Patriot and the Compass were the exact same vehicle with a different body. So it had been discontinued. So they only sold 3 units in 2020.
Well, yeah, no wonder they outsold them.
Right. It looked like really good news at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, thank God. You know, sports cars are finally outselling.
You are fake news.
Yeah. That was fake news. The Facebook fact checkers were all over that.
Were they really?
No.
Oh.
They would been.
I think we watched it.
They would been.
If
They would have been. Yeah.
They would have been if they watched us.
Yeah. So that was bad. Yeah.
Wait,
so
wait, hold up.
Okay.
Real quick, I want to say something. You want to talk about killing a bloodline? Jeep Cherokee.
It's definitely changed over the years.
They killed that bloodline.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I don't want to. God, dude, we're gonna do this whole thing again. Where we're like, I don't want to talk about this for too long, and then we go on an hour-long rant.
You could have just told me yes and then kept going. I would have never said anything else.
Yeah, I agree with you, but not 100%. I agree with you because the old one. No, 50.
70?
50.
What?
Yeah,
that's
50.
half. That's garbage. All right.
Because things have evolved. You know what I mean? The new
You
Jeep
evolved.
Cherokee is still capable, but not nearly as capable as the old one just because of the... It is, dude. It is.
Sure.
Don't give me
All
that
right.
face.
What's your next thing? I don't even want to hear this.
The original one was also a unibody SUV, but it was a crossover. It was a crossover before a crossover, really. It was a unibody. The only thing it really truly had going for it at the time was its charming styling that we love now, which we'll get into.
Thing looks like a fucking toaster, bro.
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
It's a charming vehicle. It is.
Anyway, I understand what you're saying.
And it had the powertrain from the Wrangler, which was amazing. It was the straight
Grand
six.
Cherokee is the same thing too.
Yeah, exactly. It was just such a good powertrain that it made the XJ even better.
Speaking of Grand Cherokees, real quick. Never mind.
Okay. What?
Never mind.
Oh, okay.
I'm supposed to be getting mine back.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. That's
Yeah.
such a great vehicle.
260,000, 200 and something thousand miles. I bought it. It was my first vehicle. And my brother and I have pretty much destroyed this thing, and I'm getting it back.
I mean, as long as it's still living.
It's still alive.
That's so
Drive
nice.
it every day.
Yeah, it's so nice. I mean, I would do a lot. I'm sure everybody listening would
First
do a
vehicle,
lot to have their first cars back.
Yeah.
You know, that's good news. It's good news. I like that.
Kristen wouldn't.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
New Yorker.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my
there's
God.
a lot of people that
All right.
definitely wouldn't.
Anyway,
Um,
continue. I'm going to stop talking.
Oh, we got a dog barking.
Why does he do that?
He's a dog. He barks.
Why do they bark?
So, at the very beginning of our previous episode, we said we were going to be on Pornhub.
We are not.
I'm not gonna. We're not
Oh.
gonna be on Pornhub. I don't want to be on Pornhub.
My mother watches this. No, she doesn't.
Pornhub was recently under fire for a lot of videos that were up there, because, well, actually, they removed a lot of videos
They
that
weren't
were.
porn.
Well, no. No, I mean, this is all jokes aside.
Can you imagine someone's job is like, this ain't porn?
This ain't porn. No, all jokes aside, Pornhub was under fire because a lot of their videos involve sex trafficking. So I don't want to be in there. I don't want to be involved in that.
What does this have to do with cars?
Well, it doesn't. It has to do with stuff we talked about on the previous episode.
It was a joke.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, Pornhub was under fire, man.
All right.
Don't even want to be involved. Don't even want to be involved.
We
with
could have
that.
just brushed that one off. Okay, continue.
We probably could have.
No,
And it's not like,
keep talking about it.
people
God
have like stopped using it.
damn. No one has stopped.
Right.
All right. Anyway, God, you have a long list. Holy shit.
Last one.
All right.
Last one. I'm sure there was some other stuff in there.
I
but
can tell there is.
yeah, the last one. Another piece of automotive news that we mentioned was the fact that the Porsche 918s had outsold the Jag XF sport brakes.
Also discontinued.
No, they weren't
Also
discontinued.
discontinued.
But it wasn't just 2020 that there was. It was the entirety of the production line,
Okay.
which was before 2020 actually.
Dude, you are.
It was a wreck.
All
It
your
was a
data
mess.
was not good.
No, I mean, what was the only thing worse than that is the sales of those Jag sport brakes. Dude, like they sold just a few hundred of them over the course of 2 years,
That's
1.5
pretty
years
bad.
in the U.S. Yeah, it was really bad, but it really just goes to show how much Americans don't want wagons anymore.
Yeah,
which
I don't.
Is just, which is a huge
yeah,
shame.
I know it's a shame.
So let's kind of dive into what we had actually planned on talking about today.
Can we put in a part here where you just dive, and it's like the submarine,
Like a submarine, like
yeah.
a red light, like
Bing,
flashing.
Bing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And get a little periscope that
yeah,
goes up
you can
like
do
that.
Right?
I can't.
All right.
I can't do
Damn
that.
it.
No, I know how to edit this stuff. I don't know anything about CGI.
We need help editing CGI into these things.
You're right.
You just gotta put my face on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that's
God.
it's one of my favorite things to do is
hate-
Photoshop
I
your
can't wait
face
for
onto
this one.
stupid stock
Can't wait for
photos.
this one. I love that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
The two guys on the bike is probably the best one.
I didn't do that one.
That was Bruce.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And then there's two guys on the bike. There was me and my Asian family.
Yeah.
There was another one. No. I'm not saying that one.
Right.
There's another. There's another. Yeah, you know what one that one is.
Yeah.
There's another one though.
Well, there was the one where it was, your face was photoshopped onto everybody else's head.
Yes, that was what I'm thinking of. Yeah, we
Yeah.
went out that night and my face was on everyone's head, or my face was over everyone's face. It was pretty funny. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
We've used that in a social post for a previous episode.
Yes.
So Leo's down here. Hold on. Come here, bud. Weird angle.
Okay.
All right, so I can't pick him up. But Leo's down here. So as soon as he comes on camera, we'll introduce Leo here. Anyway,
Go ahead.
thank you to what we are actually going to talk about today. There's been quite a craze, for lack of a better term. There's been quite a surge in companies creating or recreating versions of older cars. Just to throw a few out there before we really get into it, like Singer,
Mhm.
the Singer Porsches. Jag came out with a XKSS continuation, stuff like that. They're coming back with cars from the 60s, 70s, and forward, and recreating them for today's world.
The boomer traps.
Right. But there's a difference between a lot of them, and we wanted to kind of go through it and sort of ask questions about it and let you know exactly what we thought, because there's a difference between Restomods, continuation cars, replicas, and obviously true classic vehicles.
I like how you threw out the categories here right now for everyone, because I was hoping that you wouldn't go right into like Singer and be like, well, this is what they do.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, we kind of have to dive into it and see what each company is doing. I kind of I wanted to start with Singer first of all, because they make some of the just some of the most fantastic pieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they make some of the most fantastic pieces of machinery that can be purchased today. These cars are amazing whether you're a Porsche enthusiast or not.
Do you remember about a year ago I sent you a picture on Facebook? It was a white Singer 911.
Yes. That is actually...
It had the
That's
dark brown. Is that the car?
that's my background. I don't know if you could see that.
So
my background on my phone.
give it a little quick rundown.
So, well, here's what Singer does.
Attention to detail. That's what I was going to say.
That's exactly what makes them so special. And it's not just them, but that's what makes them very, very special. So what Singer does is they make Porsches that are new, but they're old. They're modeled off of, the old 911s. I can't remember.
What are they?
I can't remember the chassis.
993s?
I can't remember the chassis codes off the top of my head.
993?
Hold on, let me
I
actually
think
look
it's
it up quick.
993.
It's basically modeled after the era. I can't remember what the chassis code is off the top of my
It's
head.
probably the 90s air cooled.
No, this is going way.
Oh, it's way back. So it's in
this
the
is
80s.
no past that. This is this
Really?
is more towards the 2.7 RS
Oh, wow.
generation of them. That's basically what they.
Could have swore they were the early late 80s at least.
Nope.
Anyway.
I mean, it could. It's going back further than that, really. But what they're doing is, instead of restoring these Porsches and just selling them to people.
Mm-hmm.
They are restoring them and creating an experience for the buyers. They're creating more than just a car. You know what I mean? And they're also modifying it. So, hence,
it's like
Restomod.
It's like a Build-A-Bear.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it's the true ability for a buyer to get an old Porsche with new technology, customized to their liking, down to almost every last detail. It's amazing. They're basically taking these panels and recreating them in carbon fiber, putting them all together in the shape of a Porsche, putting a true Porsche engine in there, and like I said, a buyer comes. I said, I want these colors here. I want this type of seat.
Mm-hmm.
I want this type of stitching. I want these on the dials. I want the rally lights on the hood. I want the ducktail spoiler. I want the wide body rear arches. I want this. I want that. I want this. And they pay a ton of money to Singer.
And that's a dying thing, though. Like, there's not a lot of... Every vehicle is cookie cutter anymore. You have your certain options. You pick your options.
Right.
Very rarely is there ever a company that goes, from start to finish, we're going to build you a vehicle as a factory vehicle.
And that's what makes cars such as that and companies such as these that I will list. Yeah, exactly. That's what makes them so huge these days. And Singer does a lot more than, the Restomod that they do, the Singer 911s and selling them to their customers, because that the white one that you mentioned, that white 911 style, is the DLS. That is the Singer I think it's Dynamics and Lightweighting Study, which is basically their blueprint
for the car,
for what they're going to, for the details that they're going to be putting into customer vehicles. They're looking at it and saying, okay, how can we save weight here to make this, quicker but still be so beautiful? How could we, update the weave in our carpet? What shape could these mirrors be where they still look true to the car?
How can we stop the ass end from coming loose and killing our drivers?
Right, right. Well, I don't think they've figured that out, because Porsche's never really been able to figure that out.
They didn't really do well there.
But it also not only does it, satisfy our, just as enthusiasts, not only does it satisfy our love for, the true enthusiast vehicle, something that looks as good as it does and, performs as well as it can. But it also satisfies a niche for old Porsche enthusiasts, who are they're a very particular bunch of people.
I've never met a group of enthusiasts that are so annoying. Seriously,
like I said,
I know there's purists out there, and they I swear to God, all of them want to know what everyone else is doing.
They are definitely purists.
Super purist market, man.
A lot of them are
a lot
Porsche.
of friends that are Porsche owners too. In like,
well, it's not
they're
just
all a weird type of crazy.
It's not just newer Porsche enthusiasts that I'm talking about. It's mainly older Porsche enthusiasts. You know, ones who, were, into the ones who had loved like the 2.7 RS and all of that even when they were younger. Ones who look at Porsche and hold it to standards above all else. Now, with that being said, so this DLS that they have, that Singer has out there,
it's a cult.
Yeah, it's very culty, like sort of any manufacturer is. You know what I mean? Any manufacturer has their cult following, but the old Porsche enthusiasts, like I said, are purists. So when you take this DLS, this Dynamics and Lightweighting Study, Dynamic and Lightweighting Study, I forget exactly what it is, but when you take that and you basically built it and you said, this is for the track, Porsche enthusiasts hate not seeing those cars used for what they were designed for.
Yeah.
So they say, well, what is this? I mean, yeah, it's beautiful.
But what does it do?
There he goes. But how is it designed for the track if you don't take it on the track? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one of those deals. They want the manufacturer to tell them how to use their cars.
So more recently, Singer has come out with what they call the ACS, the All-Terrain Competition Study. Now, for you and I, this thing is the most amazing thing on four wheels that honestly has almost ever come out.
Dude, I don't know why, but you said ACS, and I thought ass clapper support.
That's also what it means.
It's a bunch of ass clappers. Anyway.
Right. But this thing is one of the most amazing pieces of machinery ever on four wheels. And this thing has created a fire in the hearts and pants of all types of enthusiasts. You know,
Is that the one with the windmill?
Yeah. They
I
released
shared
a
that the other
video
day,
of it kind of shredding dirt around the windmill, and this thing is really harking back to the Dakar 959s and the Dakar Porsches
And
of the
because Dakar was going on last week.
yeah, Dakar has started again. But
Go ahead.
that it's kind of harking back. It's kind of harking back to that, and it blends that functionality of Porsches in general, but that form of the Singer design.
Yeah, and
It
that's
is
beautiful.
It's a perfect blend of form and function. You have this hardcore, all-terrain race car with, beautiful stitching and handmade, dials and color-matched roll bar. And it's an amazing thing. And it has really stirred the hearts of classic Porsche enthusiasts.
Yeah, well, I find this weird. And here's why I find it weird. I find it weird that they're upset about this, because that car was a safari car at one point.
Right.
That's a legitimate thing that Porsche manufacturing, the factory team made that car. Like, the factory was like, the Porsche manufacturer was like, we're going to enter this as a factory vehicle into an event. And that was legitimate.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. And that's not what people are upset about.
Yeah.
They're not upset about the actual car itself. Because, like I said, it's one of the best things ever. It's such an amazing piece of machinery. That's not what they're upset about. What they're upset about is the fact that you pay so much money for it, and all of this work went into it. And side note, quick, the reason Singer is actually doing this study and creating this vehicle and, soon to be allowing their buyers to have these options on their car is because of one of their best customers. One of their best customers actually requested this.
Yeah.
Requested the future buyers to have this option because that Safari style and the Dakar style Porsche was so iconic in Porsche's history. Mm-hmm. What they're upset about, like I said, is the fact that you spend so much money and the people who are going to buy them are not going to use it. Which I agree with. I mean, people are not going to buy this $500,000 Singer Porsche that was designed and created and built for
shred.
Yeah, to absolutely shred mud and never do that.
It's a gravel car. It's a rally spec gravel car, pretty much.
It is. And I agree with those classic enthusiasts to a point, but
it's not my money, it's not my car.
Exactly.
Cool.
Do whatever you want with it, really.
And I was watching a video recently on it's a company that manufactures their cars in-house in, I think it's up in New York, actually. They manufacture their own supercar, hypercar, actually. This one's hypercar.
Okay.
I forget the name of the company. I had to look it up. I forget who it is. I watched it on a YouTube video recently. But they make these cars to be track cars to be driven, blah, 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 blah.
They make them as actual genuine track cars.
Exactly. They're race cars, right? And these people get their hands on them, and they don't race them. They don't do whatever. Awesome. If you have the money to go do what you want to do, cool, man. It's not my problem. It's not my deal. But at the same time, too, there's that part of an enthusiast inside of me that's like, man, they're wasting that car. Or it's like, man, it's not my problem. Cool for them. Like, they wanted it. They got it. There's a very hard line drawn in the sand where it's like, you got to shut your mouth and you have to back yourself up and be like, hey, I am an enthusiast. I think whatever you do and everything, everyone has a place here. And you got to watch in between those two of opening your mouth and keeping it shut. And just like, your opinions can get the best of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of wasted engineering, I guess.
Yeah, that's more what it is I can understand that. It's more a factory. Here's the thing, man. Nobody's going to push a car like a factory team does.
Right.
No one's going to do that because money.
Well, that's I was going to get to the whole money thing because, it's a similar principle as to why a lot of people don't do that sort of racing. Something that's going to actually impact the cosmetics of the car. Why people don't do that sort of driving with true classics. It's because true classics are few and far between these days.
Doing that depreciates your value.
It could, yeah, but even
Yeah,
spending this much money on a purpose-built car is even fewer and further between.
Yeah,
This is a one of one, whereas there are probably still some Safari Porsches out there where there's a few of them left, or people who have modified them to do so, where you could still get parts from old Porsches. We're kind of getting off the point of what I wanted to talk about Singer in the first place.
There's a gentleman that rallies a Porsche, an older Porsche.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's interesting to see the car run. I'm all for it, but he uses the shit out of the car.
And that's
fine.
fine.
He drives it pretty well, and he makes it known that he wants this to be a rally car. He wants to drive it, and it's cool to see that. But anyway, let's get back to what we're here for.
Right. So Singer is a car company. They actually have created, their own vehicles, like I said, with the DLS and the ACS. But they're Restomod companies. They're taking parts from these old Porsches, body parts and drivetrains, and restoring them and creating these incredible modified versions of, new old 911s. There's some other companies out there doing a lot of similar things. Let me get my notes back up here. There is a company called Gateway. Okay, the Gateway creates Restomod Broncos. With the release of the new Bronco, the interest in the original Bronco has shot up.
Skyrocketed, yeah.
And there's a company called Gateway who creates restored Restomod Broncos. Now, I can't really think of anything better, any better combination of a classic body with modern technology. It really doesn't get any better than that. You're making a face at me. What's the face for? Say something.
Square body with the Cummins in it.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually good-looking vehicles.
Whoa! Yo!
Just saying. I'm talking about, real,
You like square bodies?
It's not that I don't like them, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, real, sought-after sports cars and, desirable classics at this point.
Man, ever since OJ drove down that freeway,
Broncos have been popular, yeah. But with the popularity of the new Bronco coming out, the popularity of the old ones has shot up as well, and there's a company called Gateway that is making incredible Restomods where you can get the Coyote engine, the 5.0 Coyote. You can get, the 6-speed manuals attached to it, and just impeccable craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Just better than Ford ever could have done with it.
Dude, you got to think about it. Like, a Restomod, the whole point is to restore and modify.
Yes.
If you don't make it better, that's not a Restomod. That's an anti-resto.
Anti-resto mod.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Seats out with a razor blade.
You mentioned, the first gen Rams. You know what I mean? That's a little bit newer, but there are companies that are doing this to newer vehicles.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Cherokees a little earlier. There's a company called Davis Autosports that does resto mods of XJs, among
cool.
other things. You know what I mean? Forerunners, off-road stuff, Land Cruisers. But their creme de la creme are XJs. And the price of beat garbage XJs is going up.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, even
Everybody
mine.
wants 'em.
Even mine that I bought for $2,000. The value on that has shot up to upwards of $15,000. So if anybody wants to buy that,
dude, you're really
the new
pressing
listing,
this thing.
the value has shot up so much on them that you'd be getting a steal on this at $15,000.
You might get stolen in.
Right.
The doors don't lock.
No, but even the rotted out off-road woods beater XJs.
Dude, people are still buying them.
Yeah, they're going up. And DAS creates just some of the most amazing resto-modded XJs out there.
So there's something I want to talk about quickly.
I would also like to state, real quick, I'm sorry. I would also just like to state that we're obviously not sponsored by any of these companies, and like these aren't paid plugs or anything like that.
Stuff we find cool.
Yeah, this is just stuff that we find awesome that we wanted to talk about. But anyway, I am sorry. Go ahead.
So, one of the first Restomods I've ever seen, and there's a whole point behind this.
Okay.
So one of the first Restomods I have ever seen was a Bel Air. It was a Bel Air that was all modern dashboard, all modern display. I believe the motor was an LS out of a Firebird. It was very cool to see this as you know, I was 20 at the time.
Yeah.
I saw this thing roll in. I'm like, this is cool, right? And, you know, they were talking to me about all the stuff that happened to it and, you know, why it was getting redone and this and that. And they said, you know, we took out the leather. We replaced it with vinyl. We took out the stereo. We replaced it all with a double din. Like, you know, I mean, Restomods are the only vehicle in our list that someone can personally do and or own feasibly without a abundance of wealth.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to some other, you know, another option on here that, you know, people can do. People can make replicas and kit cars and stuff like that too.
But I'm saying like an actual vehicle vind ready to go that was sold by market, like restorations and stuff like that. Yes, I understand we can do restorations and retro mods, but that's all that's feasible here. But you can't go out and just buy a Singer Porsche without investing a lot of money into it.
Without $500,000.
Yeah, $500,000. Same thing with the XJ. I bet that's a lot of money to do that.
Yeah, basically what they do is, you know, they'll take your XJ or they'll take an XJ, and they will completely redo the engine.
Mm-hmm.
They will, you know, replace almost every nut and bolt on that. They will completely redo the interior by even replacing the seats, adding, you know, leather and heated seats, and, you know, adding components, luxury, you know, whatever you would want that wasn't there originally. And then they completely redo the paint, the underside, the suspension.
Oh.
It's basically the only thing that would be original on these, the only thing that is original are the body panels.
Yeah, and those are probably destroyed too.
It's amazing what they do to these things.
So let me.
I mean, they come at a premium, you know, because like I said, clean ones are relative. Yeah, they're hard to find, but then when you do, they're relatively expensive. So have a restored, you know,
one.
Yeah, a restored one or a Restomod, it comes at a premium. But I'm not talking $500,000. You know, we're talking $20,000 to $25,000.
So I take that back then. Now looking at some numbers and hearing what you're saying, the ones that we cannot afford most likely are like Singer Porsche, which is technically a remanufacturer of the vehicle. The
Eagles.
Yes.
The Eagle E-Types.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of what I want to touch on next as another company.
So anyway, roll into that. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, no matter what way you go at this conversation, there's a lot of money involved in this. It's a huge financial burden to get any of these done.
Yeah, you know, but it's worth it.
It's worth every penny.
Because
most of the time,
you know, going back to what you said a little earlier, you know, modern vehicles, even your high-end modern vehicles, hypercars, supercars, sports cars, luxury cars, whatever, you know, they do have sort of a mass-produced feel to them.
It's all cookie cutter stuff. It's assembly line-based stuff, you know.
But even then, you know, I feel like a lot of the time when you see somebody driving a modern supercar or hypercar, you get this air of pretentiousness about them. You know, they have sort of a greater than thou mentality.
Yeah.
Not saying everybody.
No, but
you know, there are some really cool people out there that drive very expensive cars. You
envision the aura they give off, and you're like, I think that person's a dick. Not all the time, but that's like our brain is thinking, man, that person thinks, you know.
A lot of the time they have more money than taste.
I like that Yeah, more money than taste. Yes.
But when you see somebody driving around in a beautiful Restomod, it is tasteful.
And it
You
costs
can
the
tell.
same amount as
You can tell generally they have money and taste, and
Money
I
and
respect
taste,
that.
yeah.
I respect that. The Eagle E-types are an interesting one
Mhm.
because I personally don't know if Eagle had created these cars, on their own using their own panels and their own design, and just sort of slapped the Jag E-type moniker to it, or if it's just they kind of got their hands on Jag E-type panels and put them all together in a way that they would. Several years ago, they came out with the Eagle Speedster,
Mhm.
which, if you look up beauty in the dictionary, this is what comes up next to it. It is achingly
Somebody fact
beautiful.
check that.
Yeah, right. It is like achingly beautiful. It brings like a tear to my eye and a shiver in my spine when I look at them. It is just I can't even explain in words how beautiful these cars are to me.
When you look at them, you should wear a coat.
I probably should, or at least a big enough hoodie.
Yes.
And they more recently they came out with what they called the low drag GT, which harks back to
There's no edges on it at all.
Right.
It's just the bubble.
It really, I mean, you've seen E-types, you know what I mean?
They're just like little bubbles.
Exactly. This harks back to the racing E-types of the 60s.
It's old
And
school.
it has been lightened, and it's more powerful, and it looks very functional. You see it, and it would pass for, an old school racer. But similar to the previous Restomods that we've talked about, the attention to detail is key in these things. That's what separates them from almost anything else in the classic market, is the attention to detail. You look at the low drag GT and even the sun visors, the visors that come down, are this blue tinted plastic that they all made. They made that, and the mechanism, and the the trim of everything is just absolutely magnificent.
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 Now that's considered a kit car.
That's not a kit car.
That's not a kit car. Sorry.
No, because
what is
people
it
don't-
considered?
I would consider it personally, from the information that I know. If anybody wants to comment and fact check us on this, I would consider it a Restomod,
Okay.
because it's a restoration of the E-type
Original body.
and has been modified with modern technology
Okay.
to make it functional in today's world. But like I said, it still has that just absolutely beautiful.
I just wasn't sure if it was.
It's amazing.
I wasn't sure if it was a Restomod or a restoration or a kit car, because those bodies are notorious. Well, just like the Cobra, the bodies are notorious for being popped off and put on other stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was trying to look
Not
into
saying
this. I
the
didn't.
Jaguar itself, but you know what I mean.
Well, Jag itself has come out with something similar that I had already mentioned. Now, this is not a Restomod. This is what's considered a continuation car, and it's the Jag XK SS. Now, back when Steve McQueen was around, and he was the hottest movie star on the planet, and he was the movie star enthusiast. He was the Hollywood elite of enthusiasts, automotive enthusiasts.
Dude, it's gonna be real bad, but I'm gonna say it. The first thing that came into my mind was ka-chow.
Right. That's Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Like, and then Guido.
Yeah.
I don't know why, dude, but I always think of. I don't know why. I've watched that movie so many times, and I always think of ka-chow, and then Guido, beep beep, and he comes over and replaces the tires.
Right.
Oh, dude, he's so cool.
No, I'm talking about Steve McQueen.
Yeah, not the cars.
So-
almost wow.
Right. Back when
Wow.
Steve McQueen was the Hollywood elite of the automotive enthusiast, Jag had the XKSS. Jaguar was creating the XKSS as the road-going version of the D-Type. I just heard that on the mic. So, anyway, Steve McQueen was popular, and he was a car lover. Jag had created the XKSS as a road-going version of the D-type race car at the time. And they had a few slated to be made. You know, I mean, we learned this from the Grand Tour. If you want the exact numbers, you can find it there. But they had a few that were slated to be made. And then during its production, several of them had burnt in a factory fire, along with a lot of the plans that were there to create them. Recently,
Definitely a Jaguar thing.
right. It was
Go
probably
ahead.
one of the car's electrical systems that caught on fire and burnt the whole factory down.
100%.
Yeah.
And then right next to the Land Rover factory burned down too.
Right. Yeah. Separate
Same
occasion.
Same guy, same engineer.
Yeah. Same reason, different occasion. So recently, Jaguar got the plans to recreate these cars. You know, every nut and bolt and rivet is brand new on them, but it's using the exact plans and the exact mechanicals of the original cars from the 60s, even down to the engine. But what actually happened was they had to get an original XKSS, cut the engine in half to see how it was engineered to be able to put it in the new one, because there was a page missing in the blueprints on how to create the engine for the XKSS.
So there's one thing
They had
I
to
want.
reverse engineer it.
We just had to sacrifice one to bring it back. I bet they cut it in half, and they're like, "Okay, here's a new one."
Yeah, it would be like, all right, here you go.
Yeah,
give them the new
yeah.
engine.
So,
But these are continuation cars.
real quick, I want to discuss something because it's a big deal for me.
Okay.
Well, not really a big deal for me. I really don't care. But
I think you
rephrase.
interrupted.
I really don't
All
care.
right, yeah, go ahead.
But how does that meet road safety requirements for the modern day?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Okay, well, I do, and I want to know, and I'm going to research it because I remember we had this conversation. I thought to myself, I'm like, cool, let's remake a car. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, wait a second. If I remember correctly, in the 60s, people that seatbelts killed people.
Right.
And then I also thought to myself, I'm like, hang on, wait a second. In the 60s, people were allowed to sit their kids backwards in the back seat. I'm like, okay, hold on, wait a minute.
People still do that now.
Not backwards, like facing out.
Yeah, there's car seats
Really?
that are designed that way. Yeah.
I mean, they used to just strap us in with a lap belt in the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
My friend's mom had one. We used to go in all the time.
There would be seats that would pop up out of the trunk of your Ford Taurus that might not have even had seat belts.
It's funny you say that because they had a Taurus wagon.
Right. Yeah, that was huge back in the day.
That's,
But anyway.
But yes, I'm just trying to say, like, there's no airbags in the thing, obviously.
Nope.
Like I want to know how they got that to pass. There has to be some type of special requirements that were met to produce these vehicles.
Now, like I said, it's a continuation car. They're continuing the line from the 60s. So they could be selling this as a 60s car, or they could be selling it on, special, antique or classic sort of registration.
That's what I think they're doing. I think they're probably selling these as display cars or something. That would be my assumption, is that just like how the Nissans got shipped over.
Yeah, they would have to be under certain guidelines.
Yeah, under certain guidelines. So,
Yeah.
like, these cars must live on certain guidelines where, yes, you can make 100 of these cars, but 100 of these cars need to be sent out to 100 people that are all known and documented that they're the owners, and they need to keep a certain logbook and record on what goes on. Dude, they have to do this with the import cars. There's a 22B that just came over. Same thing happened.
But we're talking about this country. This country,
America?
yes, where this country, there is a lot more rules and regulations that go into the automotive market than other countries.
Yeah.
That's why we don't get a lot of stuff over here. Now,
Yes.
I don't even think any of these XKSSs are coming here, unless somebody buys one specifically, a millionaire.
Yeah.
And there aren't 100 of them being made. I think there might be 6.
Okay, so that makes more sense then.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, if they made or recreate, was it
It's a continuation.
if they made a continuation of our favorite cars from the early 2000s or late 90s, the United States roadways, whatever it is, the roadway safety thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Their heads would explode.
Right.
Like it'd just be like, you're gonna put airbags in, and like they're gonna be like, it's like the Takata issue, the whole thing where your airbag goes off and your face gets blown off.
Yeah.
Cool, great, can't wait.
Yeah. So if they're making cars, brand new cars without airbags in them at all, it's gonna be like that scene from Scanners where the dude's head blows up.
Yeah, that's gonna be like the road, wherever they are, the road and safety thing. For the United States, I don't know, whatever they are, yeah,
something like that.
IIHS, that's the health and safety thing.
But I mean, you're right. You're right. But I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care how they're going to sell them as long as they do.
It's a curiosity. Go
yeah,
ahead.
it absolutely is. You know what I mean? But they're again, similar to the Eagles because they're still Jaguars.
Were they made of wood?
No.
As well? No.
No.
So, one car was made of wood.
That's the Morgan.
It still is.
Yeah, I think they've moved on to carbon fiber now.
Yeah,
but for the longest time they were making a lot of them out of wood. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, the XKSS is a continuation car. Now, I have.
Oh, that ain't a car, that's a bobsled.
That's a soapbox derby, there, bud.
That ain't a car, that's a bobsled.
Now, I have a very high respect and a special appreciation for these continuation cars.
Me too.
The ability to create this brand new car that adapts all of these, all of the specifics from the 60s, and being able to see it in person and think to yourself, this is exactly how this was in the 60s.
They're probably put together so much better.
I mean,
or maybe worse.
Jaguars,
I don't know.
In Jaguars' case, hopefully better.
Hopefully better.
But but just being able to see that and to know that that's exactly how it was in the 60s, and that's very, very special. I know as car guys, if any of us had time machines, the only thing that we would do is go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and get whatever cars that we have dreamt of having, buy them for incredibly cheap, and then come back to the present and drive them around. That's our dream. So to have a continuation car in any way, shape, or form is part of that dream, and I have an incredible appreciation for it. I love it.
If I could go back in time and get one car, it would probably be the RX-7 FD.
That's interesting. Not what I expected you to say.
No, they were very cheap at one point compared to what they are now. And the NSX.
Well, you could thank the American dollar for
that.
Supra
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And back then people didn't understand really what the Supra could have been. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
We'll hit a top 5 list at the end here. Go ahead.
Okay. But there's other continuations that are going on now as well. There is the Aston Martin Goldfinger DB5 continuation.
Got rock on launchers.
Dude, it legitimately has the James Bond Goldfinger gadgets that are operational on the car. I'm not saying the machine guns work, but
they're there.
But they're there, which is incredible.
That's cool.
If you were a billionaire and you wanted something that was just an absolute toy, but was just so special, this is exactly what you would get.
I don't know about that.
This is what I would get.
Tim Burton's Batmobile, the Tumbler. Ooh.
Yeah, okay, I could see that. Well, it depends on where your interests lie.
Tumbler.
I'm a huge James Bond fan. Everybody who has any interest in James Bond loves the DB5.
I want the nuclear submarine.
Yeah. I want the tank from GoldenEye.
Yeah. The one that's got no edges on it.
Yeah, right.
All smooth.
But no, it's amazing. It's another continuation car made by Aston. But yeah, actually you can consider this a resto mod. Because it's been modified with gadgets, you know what I mean?
It's a restoration.
But it's a continuation from what Aston made for the movie. And they've made it for the newest movie, Daniel Craig's last James Bond movie coming out, which is supposed to be
these
really
English
good.
guys just don't believe in airbags.
Okay, I guess.
I don't know the deal.
Okay.
All right.
But Aston also had the DB4 Lightweight, which was, had come out a few years ago, right along with the Jaguar XKSS.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of those. I don't know if this is a continuation or a replica, though.
It's technically a replica of a movie car.
No, that's what the DB5 Goldfinger
Oh,
continuation
okay.
is.
I thought you were
Yeah,
talking about that.
but no, it was made with using the same plans and everything from the original movie cars, so it's a continuation. The DB4 lightweight was the same thing as that XKSS. It was built in the 60s for racing,
Yeah, it's continuation, I believe.
and I don't know if it's a replica or a continuation, but
Probably
again,
a
it's another one.
continuation because they're rebranding it as selling it as a new vehicle.
Um,
New vehicle, new vehicle. A brand new vehicle, new chassis from the factory is a continuation. If the chassis already had existed, it is considered restoration.
yeah, but I don't know what the DB4 is.
Okay.
That's the thing.
I'm
But
saying those are like their guidelines to finding that. So.
again, I mean, like, a lot of these things would be toys if you're a billionaire. That's really it. You know, a lot of these things would, and that's exactly what that is.
Rich
But
son of a bitch.
I mentioned a replica. So we had Restomods, we have continuations, and we have replicas. Now, a replica is where you build a brand new vehicle off of similar or exactly same specs from a previous vehicle. There's a company called GTO Engineering that is creating replica Ferrari 250s to the original factory spec.
I want to know how much they paid for that licensing. Because the guy from
See, real quick, I'm sorry. You're looking at this the wrong way. Because when I was talking about the Jag XKSS, you wanted to know about safety. Now we're talking about Ferrari 250 replicas, and you're wondering about licensing. Who cares, dude?
I do. I'm like curious. I don't
Because
know.
you want to do it?
Like no, but like hear me out. Like the guy from what's the YouTuber that builds the cars in his little garage.
No idea.
Anyway, B is for built. That's it.
Okay.
So the guy from B is for built, right? He went to do the Eleanor. He went to build Eleanor, right?
He probably got slapped.
Dude, they took the car.
Oh my god.
like so I guess Eleanor is owned by some random family. They're like, this is the car that we let whatever it is use it. We own the rights to Eleanor, or something happened where they own. I forget what the exact story is, but this family owns the rights to the Eleanor car.
If anybody knows the exact story,
Yeah.
feel free to comment or let us know.
So what they did
There's
was
a lot of stuff that we're forgetting.
Yeah.
Fact
so-
checkers, please step in. Please.
Anyway, so the Eleanor car line and name, you cannot call a car Eleanor and have it be depicted as Eleanor without having a licensing agreement with them, or they take the car from you. And he had the car taken away. He's like, Eleanor replica, and it was gone.
So the people were probably just sitting there like, haha, got another one.
Yeah, dude, they got to have a warehouse of these things half
Right.
finished.
You're right.
Like, they're not even done.
Right.
They're just, and they don't get any money from it. Are we going to sue the guy? He's making shit cars in his garage backyard. He's like building Corvettes with tube chassis and taking them off road.
No
he doesn't
idea.
have the money to get sued by the Eleanor brand.
You know, I don't know if it was this company, this GTO Engineering. There was another company recently that had created a replica Lancia Stratos.
Ooh.
But when I say replica, I mean they took a Ferrari F430 and cut it in half, and then took a chunk out of it and squished it together and put
called it a
Stratos.
Lancia.
Yeah, and I mean, so it was a Restomod, really, I guess, but it was using a completely different chassis. But, you know, that's the thing. It's like how, you're right, how do people create these replica cars with VINs?
Yes.
You know, they're gonna
Legitimate cars.
you're gonna have to have a VIN. How do you have a VIN attached to this car that says it's a Ferrari but wasn't made by Ferrari?
Is this a kit car?
It's not a kit car. It's a company that makes them and sells them to you.
I'm just saying, is it considered a kit car?
No, it's not.
Okay, if it's not considered a kit car, then I understand that it needs a VIN. It's a manufacturer.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not to kit cars yet, are we?
No.
All right, continue.
But that's
I keep thinking they are.
no. That's. I mean, it's
We'll
not a
get
kit
there.
car. It's a company that makes them, and they make them true to factory Ferrari spec.
Yeah.
You need a little closer to the mic there.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. But like, it has the same exact amount of factory horsepower. They haven't overdone it. You know,
All
using.
115.
Well, that's yeah. It had 200 and
I
I
forget
think
what the number is.
280 horsepower.
That's a lot back
290.
then. That's a lot.
That's the thing. But I mean, comparing it to any sports cars or supercars of today's standards, it doesn't feel fast. It's not going to
Sports
feel.
cars.
Yeah, it's not going to feel fast. But what it does is it feels like an original 250.
Frightening.
Not that I know. Unfortunately, I probably will never get the chance to ever
Probably
sit
so
in a Ferrari
scary.
250. I'll probably never get the chance to sit in one or drive one, a real one or a replica, and that's very disappointing. But I can imagine, I guess, that it feels exactly like the original car. Judging from the people who have driven them, they say it feels like the original car.
Dude, it's got to be so scary. That car has to be frightening.
Well, I mean, the replica, probably not. The original, probably, yeah.
Yeah, the original got to be scary as hell.
Well, what I would be scared about is the fact that you're driving around in a $22 million car.
I'm more afraid of that than I am getting hurt.
That's what would be the most terrifying.
Dude, they used to strap you in and put like a fucking pasta strainer on your head and say, "Here you go."
Right. right.
Here we go.
Yeah. They'd throw
I'm gonna win this race.
They'd throw you a flask and put some leather on your head and tell you to go ahead.
Go ahead.
So there's another replica car out there that I think that you would absolutely love.
What is it?
There is a company out there called MST, Motorsport Tools, who have created Mark I and Mark II Ford
Escorts
replicas. Yes. This company has been known for a long time for supplying tools for rally teams and different types of motorsport.
Dude,
they've been known to supply
Screamers.
Yeah, they've been known to supply parts for pretty specifically for Mark I and Mark II Escorts, both for track and for rally. And they've gotten to the point where they're building replica Mark I's and Mark II's for track or rally. And you could buy these things. It's a new Escort. It's a new one. It's amazing.
I've never driven one. I've never been in one. But Mark II Escorts I see quite a bit in the United States rally.
Rally scene.
Some guys drive them, yeah.
Yeah.
I swear to God, these cars cannot be half on the gas, quarter on. You have to be flat out the whole time.
When in doubt, flat out.
Dude, these cars are screaming every single second. The cars are constantly just flat.
I love
It's
that.
It's nuts.
But that's the thing. I mean, when you have such a small amount of horsepower, you could use it all of the time.
Yeah, they just lay into these cars. It's crazy how quick they are for being a rear-wheel drive, coupe.
Yeah.
Lay it down on these cars. They're great.
But they're such charming cars.
They are.
They're just so handsome in their own
We never
sort
got
of.
them.
No, because we didn't get any the actually cool Fords. We just got the Mustang. But
one of the best engines Ford ever made had never came to the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. The Barra. The Australian 2JZ. Yeah, the Australian 2JZ.
Yay!
But, but I mean, these things are amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. The fact that somebody actually went out and chose these cars, the Escorts.
Well, I mean, they're popular.
Yeah.
So I get it.
But comparing them to some of the other cars on the list here, Ferrari 250 GTOs, Jaguar E-Types.
Anyway, so hold up. Anyway, what I was trying to say before, are these considered a restoration?
No, they're built completely
They're built
new.
there. Okay, I couldn't remember if they're built all there or they used a donor of some sort to redo the panels on. Because I know sometimes during a restoration, they will cut off the body panels and leave just the bare framework and use that as a VIN to put the car back together on. And honestly, it's legal, it's correct, and it is still that vehicle, just the body panels are getting replaced as if it was in an accident, a collision.
I have no idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, I don't. I think they're replicas. You know what I mean? That's basically from the information I was able to read.
Replica, got it.
Yeah, they make them all in-house. All the parts are
cool.
made because they've accumulated such a vast amount of Mark I and Mark II Escort parts that they know exactly what needs to go where and what needs to look like what. So they just created their own.
They're doing that with 60s Mustangs too. They're making the body shells.
Who is?
I forget the name of the company.
Yeah, but
I was talking about it yesterday with you on the couch.
Yeah, but if they're making body panels, they would have to kind of put them all together into a car to make them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They have a frame that they assemble them onto, but it's brand new, whole side panels, brand new.
Yeah.
They weld them on like they would in a factory. So.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about the original Mustang in a little bit here, but there was actually one Restomod that I had forgot to mention a little bit earlier, and it's been super popular. Super popular in the automotive media world recently.
What is
It is the Cyan Racing Volvo P1800.
Mm.
I feel like the Volvo P1800 as a whole is definitely overlooked as being one of the best-looking European sports cars of all time.
I had to see what it looks like. I can't remember.
I would definitely look it up.
Yeah.
Look, and then compare it to the Cyan Racing one. Cyan Racing is basically more or less responsible for the Volvo race cars, for the Volvo touring cars, similar to when the PCP came out, which was made by Polestar.
What?
The PCP was
is.
It was the all Polestar Volvo C30 that was out, maybe almost 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
But similar to that, where this company, Cyan Racing, got their hands on a P1800 and made it using Volvo racing parts, and it is amazing. Like I said before, the idea of taking 60s or 70s styling and then shoving in modern technology, because automotive technology in terms of internal combustion will never and never has be as good as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's worked a lot to get up to this point. There are engines made 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago that are better than they are now. But within this period, internal combustion in the automotive world will never get any better. It has peaked to the point where it will start to phase out.
We've already at that point.
Right. So using cars from when the styling was at an all-time high, and just pure aesthetics, pure beauty, and using
Puberty.
Yeah, puberty. Using your heart and art to design it rather than science and focus groups, you know what I mean? So using that styling and putting in internal combustion from now, it's the best recipe ever. Cars that we had mentioned here on this list all throughout is just it's the best thing ever.
They are, because
The best thing to happen to the automotive world in a long, long time.
It's, I think, one of the main reasons why it's such a good thing that these Restomods and everything else that are out there, these recreation, what are they called, continuations, whatever.
Continuations, replicas, Restomods,
whatever they are, the whole whatever they are, whatever it's called, whatever they are, they're being able to bring back the classics that you love, but also put the guts in that you know are reliable and make power. So that's what I like about the Restomods.
Yeah, and you get the reliability of them being made
Like
from the manufacturers instead of in some dude's garage.
exactly. Like, you're gonna tell me that I could get a 60-something Camaro with an LS1 in it? It's the way it should have came back in the 60s.
Right, if they had that technology.
They had the technology.
Yeah.
But now I can do that. So why not? And now I have a 66 Camaro? That thing? 67 Camaro? Anyway, whatever they are.
Right.
The 60-something Camaro now has the power plant of a Corvette.
Yeah.
And it's what it should have been back then is also now. It's pretty interesting.
It's amazing. One thing I wanted to say, though, too, is the fact that these cars are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And, the Restomods in particular, a lot of man hours go into making them.
Oh, yeah.
So it makes sense as to why they would be so expensive. You have to pay for that craftsmanship. You have to pay for that labor to go into
whenever you break the mold, you have to pay.
Absolutely. But I feel like a lot of these companies, a lot of the manufacturers like Jaguar, like Aston, are doing this because they can.
Yeah, they're expensive brands that have cult followings of people that have money. So if they're gonna produce something like that, they have a buyer. Why not?
That's the thing. Like, as a consumer, to buy a true classic, let's talk about the Jag E-Type quick.
Yeah.
To buy a true classic Mark 1 straight 6 E-Type. It going, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands. Probably at this point, if you're looking for a true numbers matching, untouched,
You're going to
perfect
a
model,
museum.
it would either go to a museum or it would be sold for $1 million.
Uh-huh.
$1 million, or more. To buy, a continuation or a Restomod or one of these new versions of it, you would be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars less than you would on a true classic of the same caliber.
Yeah.
And Jaguar probably, spent very little in the grand scheme of things on creating these things.
Yeah.
So there's a huge profit margin.
Well, they already did it.
The consumer makes money, or the consumer has to spend less money. I mean, the company makes money. The consumer spends less money.
The value of the original one does not go down, though.
And the value of the original one does not go down, but that person who wants one doesn't have to spend $1.2 million on one. They could spend $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 on one.
But then you get into the fight of, well, if I could get a new one, the perfect mint pieces are the only ones that have value. The rest of them don't.
I'm not a classic car collector.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not sure exactly how people would feel about that. But when there's only 9 of the new ones, the new ones, if there's only 9 of those being made,
That's all it takes to make depreciation the others.
it could depreciate them. You never know. But I don't think it would have enough of an effect on the market to actually do that.
No, because I think that when someone goes, there's some collectors out there that are so stingy that they will look at that and go, oh, this is one of those 9 that they made in 2019.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
You're probably right. But then there's other people out there who'd be like, yeah,
Dude, that's like me. I have only bought total annihilated garbage. I refuse to buy a car that's nice.
You're a car collector a little bit yourself, aren't you? There,
I'm a piece of shit collector.
right? A trash
I'm
collector.
a trash collector. I'm the trash man. Come in and swing trash around.
So I wanted to
Go to garbage.
So I wanted to ask you what you think the next company to do this is. The next company, the next manufacturer to come out with a continuation or a Restomod of their own vehicle. What's coming next? You know what I mean? There's so many options that are so desirable from so many different eras from all over the place that are perfect candidates for something like this. Like, what do you think would happen next?
I think Ferrari's going to try to produce their own.
I could definitely see that.
I think Lamborghini's going to try to produce their own.
Well, here, actually, Ferrari's a very strange car company.
They also sue you if you put the wrong motor in the car.
Yeah, they're very strange when it comes to their
Heritage.
drivers. Yeah, and their heritage. I feel like
I think they'd be the ones to do it, though.
I don't know.
Dude, they love doing that shit. Ferrari loves doing something and completely going back on what they said.
I
I
can't
guarantee
see
they're going to do it.
I can't see Ferrari ever doing it, honestly.
Ferrari only likes red and green. Because green's the color of money and red's the color of the cars.
Right.
That is all.
The color of the Italian flag.
Yeah.
I gotta cut that out.
Yeah, cut that out. I think Lamborghini, Mercedes possibly can produce something with the old Mercedes
Like
the Tudor coupes,
like the
convertibles.
Pagoda SL.
Something like that.
Oh
Very nice car.
God, such an amazing
something like
thing.
that. Porsche already sold their soul to Singer, so that really doesn't make sense.
BMW had
BMW
even going back
maybe
going back to the 507,
maybe
the Roadster. That would be a very good candidate because there's almost none of them left.
Mhm.
They're going for incredible amounts of money. I think that would be a good candidate. You know what
the
I mean?
M1.
The M1, yes. You know what I mean? it's sort of weird because I feel like this craze sort of has to go through the 60s before it could start working its way up into the more modern eras.
There's a date on the bottom of the foot for these. Like, there's a date on the bottom where it's like, we can do this now.
It like starts over.
Yeah,
like everything
yeah,
came
yeah.
around the 60s. Okay, so now
Yeah.
we're back. We're in 2020.
We're
so
in
let's
the 70s, and then
yeah. So then we're gonna keep going.
normal car manufacturers cannot do this. I
they-
think trucks might actually do this.
The thing is, they absolutely can. They 100% can. I
They
will
don't
get
want to,
we
though.
will get into this on another episode. But mainstream automotive manufacturers do not care.
Yes.
They do not care enough about any enthusiasts or heritage or anything.
Care about money and selling shit cars.
Exactly. That's all they care about. So they would never do this. I feel like Chevy, GM.
I knew who was going to do it next. Continue.
Okay, I feel like Chevy or GM would be worshipped if
Yeah.
they were to come out with a continuation or replica or a resto-modded C10
Yeah.
from the factory.
Think
You know what I
older.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
or even a first generation
An F100
Corvette.
or something. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like GM would be an excellent candidate to
Yeah.
do this because of the cars that they had made and the popularity that they continue to have. You know what I mean? You have a very limited run of maybe a dozen
Mhm.
factory continuation C10s that have been modified a little bit using some new technology and incredible craftsmanship.
Mhm.
It would be amazing. You know what I mean? Sell these things for $150,000-$160,000.
And someone will buy them.
People will come out. They'll be sold out in minutes. Honestly.
I know who's going to do it next, though.
Who?
Jeep.
Jeep is an interesting one.
They're going to make a Willys. But it's not just going to be a Willys. It's going to be like a 1940s World War II Willys. I think that's a real good collector market. They're fairly cheap to make, and I think that they make a ton of money selling them.
They would definitely they were cheap to make then. They'd be cheap to make now.
So that just mark my words, man. I think that something like that Jeep can pull off because Jeep hasn't really changed too much in the grand scheme of the Wrangler from when it was a Willys back then, which I don't even know what the code name was for it. It was
like the MJs.
the MJ, whatever.
Military Jeep or something.
whatever
I don't
it
know. It was
was,
before
right?
the CJ, which stood
Yeah.
for civilian Jeep.
Yeah, so whatever it was back then, the military used, I think that they would reissue those out and get some made, and I think that would be awesome.
I can definitely see that happening.
I can see
there's
the
something.
U.S. Army doing a joint effort with that to push the military agenda too, as well, like to push like U.S. Army promotions to like get those made. I don't know. That's pretty cool. Like
I don't know. That's actually a pretty good
yeah.
idea.
So like so think about it.
Yeah.
Like if you
Did you
sat
just
down-
think of that?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, I'm just saying, like, think about it. Like, the military use that as a promotional vehicle. They're going to start making some again. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. That's definitely good.
I'm
Like
smarter than you think.
Right.
Thank you.
There's a lot of companies out there, like I said, that
Toyota?
can do this.
FJ? Cruiser?
The original FJ,
Yeah,
yeah.
FJ.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of companies that can do this. Like I said, I feel like Jaguar did it and sold it for what they did because they can.
We're never
the-
going to be able to get our hands on any of these, just so you know.
No, never. You and I, no.
These
No,
cars
absolutely
don't get
not.
sold normally. They get sold at auctions. They get sold at... These are hard-to-get vehicles.
They go to, the elite.
Yeah.
You know.
The top of the Kool-Aid drinkers get these.
Right.
Like-
Former Formula One drivers.
Stuff like that.
Just, yeah.
High executives,
Exactly.
people are in board meetings deciding what kind of garbage they're going to sell us or tell us what kind of cars we like.
Which is such a shame.
I know.
That's, again, we're
That's
going to get
another
into
episode,
that. But,
Go ahead. There's one more I want to cover, but go ahead.
I can't think of one.
Kit cars. Oh, what?
Well, kit cars, like I said, I didn't really include kit cars into this too much because there was only one that I was thinking of that sort of fit into the rest of this.
Factory 5, the Lamborghini replications,
But-
the Vader.
Hold on. Lamborghini kit cars, I could give a rat's ass about.
It's a thing, though.
I'm sure it is, but I personally could
Ferrari
care
cars?
less about them because when you have a Factory 5 Roadster, when you have the Factory 5 made Cobra, to the untrained eye, you would never be able to tell that it is
Cannot
not.
decide.
You would
Yeah.
never be able to tell that it is not an original Cobra. These stupid, ridiculous Fiero Lamborghinis and Fiero Ferraris.
Fiero Ferraris.
And like the Bradley GTs built off of Volkswagen.
The Vader.
Yeah, there's a Bradley GT that we technically acquired that we traded for a puppy once.
What?
It's a whole story.
What?
We'll get to.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What? You traded an animal for this?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong
No,
with you
it's a whole thing. I'll get to that story in
Right.
the future. But anyway, who cares about that stuff? I mean, there's a craze for it. Like
Dude,
that is a cult.
Factory 5 818Cs and Factory 5.
That's awesome.
All good kit cars.
I love that stuff. But the only one that really makes sense to compare to any of these other ones is that the Cobra. You know, because it's the only one with that pedigree that compares to any of those 60s cars.
I get you,
okay,
because it's the only thing that it's the only car that resembles a car that is already manufactured.
Yes, it's a classic. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in a kit car, that particular kit car
Yeah.
I'll use because that's the only one of the very few that I actually like.
I want to see someone put LS in one. Mostly they're all just small blocks.
Yeah, well, mostly they're either small blocks or some sort of Ford engine.
Which, technically speaking, an LS is a small block push rod motor.
It is, yeah.
But you know what I mean, like a 350 small block.
Yeah, I mean, that kit car in particular fits in really well with the rest of this because you're even saving more money and you get to build it yourself, basically. But then
that was the problem. That was the
with a lot of them. Yeah,
that was the problem with mine because I went to get involved and I actually researched and kind of talked to Factory 5 a little bit at one point. There's emails that I had that had me interested in 818C. If I didn't get the cage car, the Subaru,
yeah,
I would have went up to Factory 5 and bought an 818C.
I remember you talking about that.
I would have done that. If the car didn't come by, I would have did it. Because and then I found out like I'm not afraid of turning wrenches. You know what I mean? Not afraid of going up there and getting dirty and doing my car.
But
there's nothing on these though. It's not like you take apart a Subaru and you put it back together. It's like it's all a tube frame underneath. Well, not even tube frames, channel. It's all rectangular channel. Like it's a lot, and the bodywork never fits right on them. I swear to God, the bodies never work right. Anyway,
I mean, looking at some of them that have been made, if the bodies don't fit right, they look right. You know what I mean? They look great.
I'm 818Cs though.
Okay.
There's more panels. The Jaguar's, I think, just a mono.
You mean the
cock
Cobra?
Thing. The Cobra, sorry, the Cobra.
Okay, all right,
Cobra,
that would
I think,
make more sense.
I think Cobra, is just monocoque. They just make the whole thing in a mold and put it in.
Yeah.
Awesome. The 818Cs are a bunch of different panels put together, and if the body guy is not very good, your body, you can see the lines and ways and stuff. It's all fiberglass. It's fiberglass work.
Right.
There's no easy way to do fiberglass.
I understand kit cars, especially the Cobra, because they're Cobra replicas, basically.
Yeah.
And they could be, a replica or a Restomod. You know what I mean?
It's weird, though, how Factory 5 has all those cars that are in their line. There's 4 cars that are in lineup. Maybe 3 cars are in lineup now. I thought there was 4. There might be 4 cars in lineup. I can't remember. But there's the cars in lineup in the Cobra is the only one that gets remotely close to another vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, they had to have gotten the licensing.
Some type of licensing, yeah.
Some type of licensing from it.
Sorry,
but yeah, I mean, I respect kit cars, especially those ones because similar to the other companies that we had mentioned, it's a way of creating this old car, putting new technology into it, and making it your own. And
you all never seen a Ferrari Fiero then.
But that's what I hate about kit cars. If you can't afford a Ferrari, don't buy a Ferrari. If you can't afford a Ferrari, don't make one in your driveway
and call it a Ferrari
out of a Fiero.
I think they give Fieros away.
But the thing is,
or crushed them all.
The Fieros are starting to kind of come back in a quirky sort of culty way.
Dude,
the fact that people are hacking them up
that should have died
and putting, styrofoam Ferrari.
They've been hacking them up.
But the fact that people are putting, spray painting styrofoam red and super gluing it to the outside of their Fiero to make it look like a Ferrari is just.
I love the Enzo one.
Oh God, it's so bad.
So anyway, go ahead.
It's
Sorry.
so bad.
It's very bad.
It's so bad.
Kit cars like that should not be existent. Anyway,
All right.
the break static or whatever you call it.
So, you're right. We should have worked that in before. So, there are companies out there that could definitely come out with cars, such as that like I said, GM with the original Corvette, or even Ford with the original Mustang. Original Mustangs these days in halfway decent condition, restorable condition, are not that expensive.
No, I find that amazing still.
So if Ford were to...
Did they make that many?
What's that?
Did they really make that many?
I think made a lot.
I think they did.
Yeah, they were huge sellers. But if Ford were to come out with a new one again, it would sell.
Oh,
it would be huge.
100%.
Even if it was a replica, even if it didn't even have to be modified, people would still appreciate them. Or the original T-Bird, the original Ford Thunderbird. Honestly, I was looking for those as a project car because there aren't many of them around. They're not massively desirable, but there's a lot you can do with them. So you make a limited run. Yeah, like
give it time.
Domestic car companies, German car companies, ones that have had huge hit classics that are still desirable to this day.
Give it time. It'll hit.
Could do this. But like I said, most of these manufacturers are just focused on making absolute trash crossovers that, moms in Hollywood want to buy. It's terrible.
Dude, 100,000-mile warranties, 5 years, and that's it. The car goes in the crusher.
That's it. They only care about leasing, but we'll talk about that. What I wanted to mention now is what I think would be the perfect car for me, the perfect Restomod, the perfect replica or recreation.
Go for it. What is it?
I don't entirely know. I've been thinking about this all week.
Hold up.
I've been thinking about it all week, and I cannot truly decide because here's the thing.
You're going to sit there and say, I have the best one for me that I could ever think of, and you're going to come up to me and go, I don't know.
The perfect replica, I think, would have to be, maybe an E30 M3.
Really?
Yes.
That's your answer.
As far as a replica goes.
Okay.
Like a true...
An M3.
Yes.
Okay.
An E30 M3. As far as to be a perfect factory car the exact same way it was new without ever having been touched would probably have to be an E30 M3 for me. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. As far as a Restomod goes, that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? I can't think of really what an ideal one would be for me because, I had thought about, maybe taking, an E30 or an E28, 5 Series or, a lot of I really like older Beamers. A lot of Beamers from the 80s and 90s putting new power plants in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the new a new cluster and all of this new BMW technology put into it and still have that classic E30 or E39 even or E28 styling would be amazing. But also at the same time it would be great to have a Challenger, a 70, a 1970 Challenger,
heavy car
with it doesn't even have to be the Demon engine, or it doesn't have to be the Hellcat engine.
Oh, what is it? The
Helephant.
Helephant.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to have 1,000 horsepower in it. The 392 from the SRT would be it would be an excellent swap in there. And then you'd take, for me personally, it would have the same classic steering wheel and gauge cluster. You have to have that.
Yeah.
But it would probably have more modern materials on the seats. It would be white. And that's it. Just solid white. No stripes, no nothing.
I like that idea. I like that car.
From Vanishing Point.
Okay.
One of my favorite movie cars is that Challenger from Vanishing Point. But when it comes to older cars, my love for domestic classic muscle cars or European sports cars, or Japanese, minis. You know what I mean? Like the original, Civic, the CVCC, and the old Honda
toasters,
S600. You know what I mean? Or the Honda City Turbo, stuff like that.
The brave little toasters.
When it comes to older stuff, my interests are everywhere. I love all of it. So to get a resto mod like that, for me, the perfect one would be really, really tough to find.
Yeah.
Really tough to find. Another good replica would be an S2000. But they're not really old enough to be quite there yet.
No.
Do you have one? Do you have like a ideal one? Like
I
22B?
100% 22B is my continuation car would be a 22B.
Yeah.
Even though I wish the Trans was the newer 6-speed and not the old 5-speed, but anyway.
It'd be a resto
But
mod.
no, I don't want a Restomod of that, actually.
I know.
Actually, I have a different car for a Restomod.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely, in the 22B is I walk in, I point at a car and I go, that's the car. That's the one I want.
Yeah.
So when I get to whatever gates are out there and I cross over into the Rainbow Bridge, I think it's only for dogs, but anyway, when I cross over,
you be there.
When I cross
wagging
over,
your tail.
wagging my tail. There you go. When I cross over the Rainbow Bridge, I want to be able to jump into one of those and drive the snot out of it.
Yeah.
That's my continuation car. For my resto mod in NSX, but I want the interior to be out of the S2000 with a little bit of a combination of the new NSX Multimedia Center. So there's something I love about the S2000 in the seats, and the gauge cluster are so cool.
It's so driver focused.
It's so driver focused. It's that constant
it's that digital.
the digital
RPM.
bar.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
About the S2000. So if Acura can kind of like put those all together, and then the new drivetrain, I'd want in it is from Acura, the new hybrid.
From the new NSX.
New NSX. I want to keep it.
Yeah.
Copacetic there.
That's interesting. I didn't think you would actually.
I love Acura NSXs. I love NSX.
Yeah.
I've opened my mind to new car brands.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know how much you've opened them, but the NSX is one of the best new cars out there now. So yeah, I mean,
That's all I got.
yeah, I think that's all. We've been talking for a while. We did this again. Has it been like an hour and a half? I don't know how long it's been. It's been a while. I think it's been about an hour.
We're gonna do a more scripted version next time.
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to have teleprompters behind each other so we know exactly what to say. Yeah. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Facebook at Tuned In Media, not OnlyFans. We don't have that yet.
I do.
Follow us on Instagram at tunedin_drivecast. Follow us on Twitter.
We have YouTube.
Yeah, if you're watching this, you already know what our YouTube is.
Oh.
If you're listening, follow us on YouTube at Tuned In Media.
You're a spy. You're a spot.
Follow us on Twitter. That's the one I was going to say. Twitter at _drivecast. Again, I said this already, but I'm going to say it again. Thanks for staying tuned in, and we will see you guys next time.
Nobody has done this yet, but if you want to talk to me, he has control of all the accounts. I have no control of them, so no one has done it yet. But if you want to talk to me, you want to go through him.
Yeah, if you want to message Josh, you're probably going to have to message me, and then... All right. Thank you. Bye. Goodbye, everybody.
Adios,
Bye.
See you later.